to try to get through this story. I've had a little time between now and September, so maybe I can share more learnings than I can pains, because the last time I told the story, it was still very painful. I am not from Waukesha County. I'm not from Wisconsin. I was born and raised in Arizona and wound up moving to Ohio when I joined GE Aerospace. And 9 years ago, I transitioned to Milwaukee, and I work for GE Healthcare. I have over 200 employees, and they are all over the United States. I travel all the time. I'm leaving this Sunday to go to a customer visit early on Monday, and my mother lived in Kansas, and I would see Mother at the holidays. I would fly her to Ohio when I was in Ohio, or here when I was here. And then about 8 years ago, I met my husband, David. Just had met him about a year after I came to this city. We started dating, it progressed, we got married, bought a house, blah, blah, blah. And before we got married, I needed to take him to my only brother, who is in California. And I said, my brother's like 20 years older than me, he can't travel, he couldn't come here, so I'm heading out, and we go for Thanksgiving weekend, and I talk to my mom all the time. This particular time, I'm in California, called to see how she was doing, and she tells me she's getting married. Now, she was 75, 6 years old, and I was like, okay, just thinking, a year prior, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, dementia, and, the arthritis and the stiffness and the everything. So I was like, okay, I don't really know, but I'm like, who is this person? And she literally, over the course of 3 phone calls, convinced me that there was a Bill, and that Bill was a DJ, and he was 41 years old, and it was okay, he had a nice ass. Seriously. And so I said, I think it's time for me to fly to Kansas. And so she said, we're going on our honeymoon right after. And I'm like, okay. I called my aunt, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, you got to get here. You've got to get here. She's having horrible hallucinations. She's called 911 3 times. There was a baby boy stuck in the toilet. She covered it up. The police came. Got her calmed down. The next time, she's trying to rescue people stuck in the wall behind the refrigerator. And so I'm out here with a real high-stress job, a new fiance, trying to start a new life, and I'm flipping out. So David and I flew to Kansas, and it was pretty sad in what we found. She was in a little tiny senior apartment, and her kitchen table was stacked with mail, and apparently had not addressed the mail for a long time. So my now husband sat for 4 hours, went through all the paperwork, and found out that she had a long-term care policy, but she hadn't paid it in 2 months. And she had it for 28 years, and it lapsed. And this guy knows how to negotiate, and he called and negotiated and said, we'll pay it right now, we'll bring it up to date, and they're like, sorry, it lapsed. That left us with nothing. So I had to figure out what to do from there. And by the way, the suitcase was all packed. And I went to say, Mom, I'm going to move this. Don't touch that. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I said don't touch that. And so I followed orders, and I didn't touch it. But that was the suitcase to go on the honeymoon. And later, when she went to sleep, I did touch it, and it was fully packed on stuff that you would go to a beach or something. So now you start freaking out, because I'm not a few years. So it's not the industry that I've been raised in. So long and the short of it, we proceed to plan our wedding. We get married in July, but I had done the research to at least find her an independent living, and knew that I was going to move her out here in September after I got married. And it was pretty tough through the whole wedding, because Bill was with her the whole time. The hallucinations were happening. She was staying in our guest suite, and she would just walk up to the mirror and just stare at it and have a full conversation with Bill. And all I could do was cry. And I was supposed to be happy I was getting married. So it's the emotions for you guys going through that just are heart-wrenching, because you don't know where you're at with your emotions, and you try to balance them. So I actually did move her here in September, would be 4 years ago now. And I put her in Silverdale, which is an independent, very, very nice independent senior living. And I didn't realize that I was gonna live there as much as she lived there. So there was groceries, there was laundry. Nobody could do laundry, I couldn't outsource that. She wanted me to get the groceries. We soon learned she couldn't cook. So now on every Sunday, I live here, but I go to Delafield. It was my family groceries, and then there was the cart with all the pre-made stuff that the Delafield Century makes. I know what she likes, I've been critiqued, I got it down, I don't like this, I like this, that's too dry, this is too salty. We go through all that, and one Sunday afternoon, this is when when I met the first angel in this journey, and the angel was ADRC. And the little girl that was standing behind me, I felt kind of stupid having 2 meals and one fully cooked. And I said, well, I shop for my mother for the week. She can't cook and she can't shop. And the girl was from ADRC behind me. And she said, well, do you know that we have Meals on Wheels? And I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And so she got me connected, and so we started the Meals on Wheels. And even though that was kind of dry sometimes, it took some of my extra travel, and I really appreciated them because that's how and I did learn that you can have the support of other people, else I would have been fired or something. I couldn't possibly take her to the doctor as many times as I had to take her to the doctor. And so that was a really wonderful thing, and I really am committed. I'm also on the Women and Girls Fund Board of Trustees and committed to Waukesha. It is Waukesha County. They do have resource rich. If I had not made that decision to go and move my mother here, they would have put her in a loony bin. There would have been a state institution where she would have died. And I absolutely thought I could get through it, but I am indebted to Waukesha County.